Why is China sending its top officials to save Nepal government? When you look at this map, where does brain run to? The peninsular land or its Himalayan nemesis roaring at the top? Somewhere here, a huge political crisis is affecting India and China. The catch, however, is that it's not their land. What is not letting the Chinese leaders sleep at night is crisis on a foreign land. If you take a closer look in the South Asian map, you see a small landlocked country named Nepal, sandwiched between two powerful nations. This small Himalayan country serves as a geographical bridge connecting these two Asian powers of India and China. But what exactly is it that makes Nepal so important in South Asia? Nepal is likely to be the first line of defense for both India and China in case of any aggression. As a result, both the countries want closer relations with Nepal. This also makes Nepal a classic example of how geostrategic importance can change the fate of a country. Let us know, country, in the comments section if you want us to talk more about geostrategic and politics. And this makes it no surprise that the shockwaves of recent political instability in Nepal were felt in Beijing and Delhi. Let's look inside Nepal's home ground politics for a second. The Nepali crisis erupted on December 20th when Prime Minister Ali of Nepal Communist Party dissolved the parliament due to tussle of power between him and former Prime Minister Pushpa Dahal, and the new elections are said to be held on April 30th. This is resulting in a split of the Nepal Communist Party. The Nepali Communist Party is actually a merger of two different communist groups, the Unified Marxists and Leninists and the Prachanda faction. The fallout of this move will have fatal consequences on Nepal's democracy, political stability, and economic prosperity. Since the economy of Nepal has taken a hit with the pandemic, there exists a possibility that due to unaffordability of election costs, elections may be postponed, thus leading to a national emergency. This authoritarian show of power has given rise to large-scale protests and demonstrations against the ruling prime minister. Many of these agitations were led by his own opposition. The Chinese activist ambassador in Kathmandu, Ho Yanqi, is busy trying to keep the party united by playing referee among the rival factions. Without wasting a moment, China stepped into the troubled waters of Nepal and sent a 4-member party delegation led by a vice minister of the Chinese Communist Party International Liaison Department to launch a last effort to integrate the National Communist Party. This move makes China's concern in the internal politics of Nepal crystal clear. But it's not just a game of political ideologies for China when it comes to Nepal. China has deep economic pockets set up in Nepal. Look at China's expanding footprint in Nepal. In 2018, Xi Jinping became the first Chinese president to visit Nepal. Xi Jinping came bearing gifts of economic investments. 2018 is also the same when China outstripped India in bringing in largest investment in tourism to it. Nepal has welcomed Xi Jinping and the investments with open arms as it finally saw the opportunity to decrease its reliance on India, its largest source of investment and support up until then. Happy, Nepal readily signed the Belt Road Initiative. Nepali government couldn't wait to seek greater Chinese cooperation in uplifting its much-needed weak economy. It also promised to change the face of Nepal's future infrastructure. It is expected to construct an international airport, a Nepali police academy, hydropower projects, a trans-Himalayan railway project connecting the two countries. Now, all of this surely does sound like good news for Nepal. But what's in it for China? Firstly, out of the total trade between Nepal and China, China exports 99 to 98% of the supplies to Nepal, with only a small 1 to 2% exports coming from Nepali side. I am throwing these numbers at you to show you one thing. The Chinese are totally dominating the trade. Any economic crisis in Nepal can threaten the sale of Chinese goods in Nepal. Secondly, the precondition for Chinese infrastructure projects is that Nepal must use Chinese goods and labor, which means Chinese cements, bricks, steel, and physical labor. So, the huge capacity building infrastructure projects in Nepal will eventually bring back home a lot of money. China has been working on realizing its dream of completely eroding the Indian influence from South Asia, the only other big player. This way, India would be preoccupied with unresolved conflicts with its neighbors. This tied down, India then will not stand a chance to China at an international level. For China to achieve each of these objectives, it must make sure that the ruling party of Nepal governs with a pro-China tilt. India too has a history of interference in the politics of Nepal, however, mostly on matters of requested intervention. This is not the first time China is interfering in the internal politics of Nepal. In the previous Nepali elections of 2018, it was China that convinced the two rival Nepalese factions to merge and form a government. Fresh elections in Nepal can be very dangerous for Chinese interests, as the Nepal Congress Party has very close ties with India, and a pro-India government in Nepal is the Chinese nightmare. India has historical, cultural, and economic ties with Nepal. It has taken several years for China to sever the Indo-Nepal relations. This ongoing Nepal political crisis tells us that to protect its interests, China can penetrate deep in the internal politics of a foreign country. I'll leave with the words of a renounced Western diplomat. Why would a country rush a delegation to a neighboring nation amid a pandemic? It's rather obvious. They control the internal politics of Nepal as they want to expand investments in near future.